I am Don Rittner.
And I'm Justina Kostek.
And this is
History on the Road.
Today we're going to visit Cherry Valley, New York, which is on the Great Western Turnpike.
So why not sit back and take a ride with us?
And learn more about the fascinating history of one of the Turnpike's oldest communities. A true piece of Americana found along the old highways were roadside attractions that were often large monuments that advertised for souvenir stands, amusement parks, and outdoor advertising. Common themes were Native Americans, dinosaurs, lumberjacks, and cowboys.
Just before we enter Cherry Valley, New York, is the Teepee souvenir stand, which is over 50 years old. So let's stop in and talk to the owners to get the history.
It's okay. Dale, Donna, I can't believe we're in a gigantic teepee.
Isn't it cool?
But this is one of my favorite roadside attractions.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
I've been
for
coming here since I was about that high.
Well, thank you.
Although I don't think it was here then. I think it was somewhere else. Tell us the history of the teepee.
Yeah, in 1950, Ken and Iris Gurney decided to build a big giant teepee gift shop. Now, the reason why they decided to build a gift shop, we've heard two different stories.
Yes, we did.
One was...
Well, Iris Gurney, coming from Nebraska, we heard that she grew up outside of the Sioux reservations, and back then they were living in teepees. She remembered the teepees, so that was one reason. She goes, let's build it in the shape of a teepee. And then the other version, Mr. Gurney.
Mr. Gurney was in the service, and one of his good buddies, he was part of a plane crew, World War II. And there was a collide over England, two planes, friendly, over England, and everybody on both planes were killed except for Mr. Gurney. But one of his best buddy was a Native American man. So he built it in the shape of a teepee to honor his good friend. We don't know if either story is true, but they're kind of cool.
And the reason why they picked Cherry Valley, this was interesting, it was passed down. They took out a map of New York State, closed their eyes, had a pen in their hand, and they just did this.
Wow.
And Cherry Valley popped up.
Cherry Valley came up.
They probably didn't read up about the Cherry Valley massacre?
No, they didn't. They probably didn't. They just picked Cherry Valley with a pin. Yeah. And you're right, it was not here originally. Yeah. Originally it stood on what we refer to now as Old Route 20.
Right, the original, yeah.
Yes, but Route 20 was rerouted to go around the tiny village of Cherry Valley in the early 50s. And Ken and Iris were like, well, we got to keep our business on Route 20. So in the winter of 53, 54, they built here on this spot, buying a piece of land from the farmer who now his family's across the street. With the foresight, you saw that beautiful view we have outside.
Yes.
And so he was ready to open up in the summer of 54, right here.
And they ran it for
1950, so we're celebrating, the teepee is celebrating 70 years in business.
Yes.
Wow.
We had it since 2000.
We bought it in 2000.
So it's been 20 years.
So 20 years for us. So it's a big year.
Yeah.
What kind of products do you sell?
Oh, everything. A little of everything.
It's a little of everything. I mean, we do feature Native American crafted items, obviously, yes. There's a lot of shows that we've gone to, like powwows and stuff, and we just befriended a lot of Native Americans. And so we'll get products actually made, native crafted as well. But this whole store, because it's a throwback to like roadside attractions, I mean, we got our little souvenir things, items as well. But I mean, we have local made items.
Yeah,
I mean,
we like to feature local artists or
as well.
Local being within a 50-mile radius of the teepee. We even have some of my father's work here. He builds.
He's retired. He's working. But we have a lot of stuff from local artists as well.
And of course we have imported things. We have moccasins, southwestern jewelry, native made, sterling silver, turquoise jewelry. So a little of everything. It's your typical souvenir store, but it goes beyond that.
Yes.
Do you get more traffic now, or do you think there was more traffic back in the 1950s?
I think back in the 1950s, because that was post-World War II America.
So there was a lot
And
of
there was a
traveling
lot of traveling going on in those big, beautiful old cars and family road trips and stuff.
They were doing
and in the 70s and 80s,
it dwindled.
it dwindled. But
It's having a
in
comeback.
the 90s and
It's coming back.
there's been a resurrection of that sort of thing.
Travel.
We see a lot of people just wanting to get off the thruways and just take scenic roads, go on the roads a little less traveled. You know, Route 20 is a great road. So we meet people from all over the world. They're coming from New York City, but they're making their way to Niagara Falls or wherever, and they go past a big giant teepee.
Why not?
And
Get
they don't have a big giant teepee in the middle of Germany or Poland.
No, not yet.
So,
Not yet.
so they're going to stop at a big
stop.
giant teepee. So it's really cool. We get to meet people from all over. You know.
There used to be
everybody.
lots and lots of these kinds of roadside attractions, but
They are dwindling.
yeah,
They
I mean,
are.
you're probably one of the last that's still in
that's-
operation.
that's still
Some of them are
operational.
iconic and they're preserved, but you know they're not being used.
Yeah, or they're not used as they were originally
Right.
intended.
Right.
And this was built as a souvenir
Souvenir
gift shop, and it's still a souvenir gift shop. It's been open every season since 1950, with a shortened season in 1999 because it was hit by lightning. Well,
Wow.
Yeah.
and there was a fire.
There was a
fire.
Oh.
So in July of 1999, we
We had to close and remodel and renovate.
We were managing it at that time.
We're managing it.
Yes.
Our
yes.
father did have it prior, before my sister and I bought it in 2000.
Yes.
And in 1999, we were like the managers of it. But our father had it for 5 years. He bought it in October of
Yeah.
'94. But
So the
the
lightning
first
hit it.
year we had it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dad, we burnt down the
The
teepee.
lightning.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're managing it. Oh yeah, we did the lightning.
No.
Yeah, the lightning struck. It struck the transformer outside and followed the electric lines inside. The firemen came. They saw.
took it.
You saw our
mannequin up front.
at the
Yes.
front,
Yes.
dressed like a Native American.
Yes.
He
Indian Joe.
was just sitting there, and at first they thought he was
Was a real person.
just sitting there.
Oh
You
my
gotta get out of here! But they took him outside and saved him for us.
They did.
Oh, that's good.
But no, we were quite safe. But the fire was contained upstairs, so we were
That's
quite
incredible.
Yeah.
The teepee is still standing even though it was hit by
Yeah. It was mostly, the fire was mostly contained to the attic area,
Yes.
but there was a lot of smoke and water damage.
Wow.
But we stuck with it, and then we bought it the next year. I mean, we put
Right.
it back together, and
you're still going
we're
strong.
still
We're
doing
still
it.
going strong. People,
That's right.
people come back. We hear the best stories from people.
Oh, yeah.
I came as a kid.
Yeah.
I brought my children. I'm bringing my grandchildren. I'm bringing my great-grandchildren. Or the complete opposite story.
Oh, right, the opposite. I go, oh, I was driving by with my parents like in the 70s, and they never wanted to stop. Oh, no, we can't.
Right.
Can't stop there, can't stop there. And now it's like 2020, and they go, oh, I'm driving by the teepee, I'm stopping. And they're the parents, and you know,
I'm
we're-
driving now. I'm in charge.
I'm going in. So.
Dad's not going to stop me now. We're going in.
I'll make sure to bring my kids here.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I would love to
When I
meet
have them.
Oh, when you have them, okay.
But no, we'll get generations of folks coming in, because I think that's what made the teepee survive this long, because
It's got
we
the
do.
history. Yeah, the
Yeah,
history.
and just a generation, and it's a tradition that people come back year after year, and they were the kids here from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and now
Yeah.
they're their grandparents and bringing their
Their-
family here. I mean,
I
it's
love
wonderful.
the story from when we first bought it, 2000.
Yeah.
The married couple that were celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Oh, and that was our 50th.
And
yes.
it was our 50th anniversary, but they were recreating their
Honeymoon.
No way.
And they were on their way to Niagara Falls. That's where they honeymooned.
Right.
But on their way there, when they first got married, they stopped at the teepee.
And
So they stopped here
again.
on their
50 years later.
That's a great story.
50th wedding anniversary, recreating their honeymoon. It was, you know, and we get to share stories like that with people. You know, it is. We really
Well, we know you have
Yeah.
customers here, so
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yay, customers!
we're going to let you go back to
No.
them. But thanks for talking to us. And
Thank you very
and I
much.
know
Thank you so
Justina
much.
wants to spend some money. So.
Yes, I definitely
She's
gonna
already
buy.
picked
We
out
have
some
her
stuff.
file.
Yes.
All right,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
very much.
The old coon's skin hats.
Whoa.
These are the ones that Daniel.
Wait, I'll put one on
Daniel.
your head.
No, not on me. Daniel Boone used
On
to
your
wear.
head.
it. No, put it on you.
Let me.
No, I don't know.
Done.
What? Oh, thanks. After our visit at the Teepee, we're back on the Great Western Turnpike, which in the 1920s became part of historic Route 20, the longest road in the United States, spanning 3,365 miles from Boston, Massachusetts to Newport, Oregon.
The original Great Western Turnpike went from Albany, New York to Cherry Valley, a distance of about 60 miles. It was expanded 3 more times until it reached Lake Cayuga, the longest of New York's Finger Lakes, over 200 miles from its beginning in Albany.
After paying at the last toll gate, you entered the village of Cherry Valley. But this is not a sleepy village in any sense of the word. The villagers were massacred during the American Revolution, and over the years, famous scientists, poets, and artists have called it home.
There are less than 1,200 residents living in Cherry Valley today. Cherry Valley has been the home of poets of the Beat generation for many years, and the hippie farm of poet Allan Ginsberg and friends, so notables like Burroughs, Ferlinghetti, and Corso stopped by.
Andy Warhol's superstar Candy Darling is buried here. Paul Bley, famous jazz pianist, made his home here. Samuel Morse perfected his Morse code and the telegraph in Cherry Valley, and even started the first telegraph school to teach this rapid form of communication.
Cherry Valley has also been called Happy Valley because of the presence of the chemical lithium in its mineral waters.
Our first stop is the Cherry Valley Museum, where we're going to talk to Susan Miller, the village historian, and learn more about the unique history of the village.
This is our music room. It shows all the melodies that were made here. Samples of them, both the
Can I touch it?
Schwann melodeon. And that's Amos Schwann, the undertaker.
So these were made here?
Yes, these were made here.
Wait, he was an undertaker and he made these?
Yeah, and he was the undertaker who was famous for the Morse.
A Morse code.
Samuel Morse, when he was here,
Right.
they were good buds.
All right.
And he'd take the bodies down to the basement.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Yeah. you told that
Sunrise!
story.
Time to get up!
I love this!
Yeah, that's really
Wow,
good.
what a beauty! How big it is! Oh my god, and try to put your head in here. How the sound is changing as you put your head in there.
My head's too big.
Try.
Hello? Thomas Edison, are you there?
I'm right here, I hear you. And what are these little boxes? These 2 boxes?
Those
what
are
they?
all the old tapes of the old music. Actually,
Is it like
they
a
were
music
records.
box?
Yeah.
Really? So that's how they made them? They made
That's how
the
they made
squares?
them, yeah.
Wow. There's
See?
a piano.
There's an Edison.
And here's an Edison recording.
This is a recording of wax.
Wow.
Cylinders,
You put the cylinders in there. And,
That goes on that.
yeah, and there's another.
Touch that.
Here's another neat example again of the paper. As you wind it, and it just plays like a player piano today.
Yeah.
Cool. Does
Very
it still
similar.
work? Does it still work?
Still works.
Can you play it for us?
No, I won't.
Okay.
It's very delicate.
Right.
That's
Very
that's an
delicate. I
artifact.
won't do it now.
Yes, it's beautiful. Dog treadle, what does that mean?
That calls, well, and you
Well,
remember
the dog
horsepower?
trots around.
That's dog power.
Yeah, and that's dog power.
So dogs are operating
Dogs,
this?
yeah.
Yeah. So there, see the thing there? You put a belt on that,
Really?
and that could
It's
run a
right
saw or a grinding mill or anything, really. Oh, look at this.
And this is really
Wow, the rocking chair.
including an ice box. One of the older of the
So this is before
ice boxes.
refrigerators.
Yes.
So you put ice in there, and that's how you would keep your food coma.
Exactly.
Beautiful rocking chair. My grandfather
Yes.
used to own a chair just like this. He got it after the Second World War in Poland.
It's an old-fashioned kitchen.
Yes.
You know, what's interesting is it feels really homey. You know, when you look at these kind of kitchens from the old days, and you go in the modern, you know, houses and everything is so sterile.
Big sterile, and it
Because, you
doesn't
know,
have any personality.
And there's no form to, I mean, the refrigerator is, you know,
Right now,
Yeah.
people don't have time. People
No,
used to
that's
have
true.
time for family. Right now, people don't.
But now with everything going on, though, there's a lot more time.
with
That's
the
right.
pandemic,
With
people
the
are
pandemic.
There's
staying home.
nothing wrong with a bouquet of flowers in the center of the table
Yes.
either.
Yeah,
You're
right,
right,
that's
and you
true.
don't see that.
Yeah, but you can
Don't
just
see
feel,
that.
you feel at home.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, a fire engine.
This is the second oldest pumper in New York.
The second oldest.
Second oldest. And this is the Washingtonian.
Now, Esprit says they have the oldest. So they have the
I
oldest,
think Esperance does, I'm not sure.
and you have the second
We
oldest.
have the second oldest. This was New York City, it was bought, this is our early one. It's a 2-horse actually.
Wow.
This is a 2-horse. Now, we have what they call men.
So this was a horse drawn,
Oh, yes.
where the one at Esprit was people drawn.
Yeah.
Didn't have
Well,
horses.
you can draw this with people
Yeah,
if you've
yeah.
got enough people.
Yeah,
But this thing's butt.
this is great.
Here is our horse-drawn one here. And this is what we're
Look at this.
hopefully going to have an exhibition room on. These are what they call man killers.
Wow, these are, man,
Man-
These are amazing.
I thought they were supposed
They
to
are
put fire out.
pumpers, right, but they're man killers.
So you'd have heart
You
attacks?
need the men on these things to even pump any amount of water through those hoses.
Wow.
And this usually was.
But why is it
2
called a man
horses.
killer? Because they drop dead from a heart attack?
Oh my God, I mean, you would need at least 6, 7, 8 men on a side
Wow.
just to get these to
Oh my goodness.
pump.
I love that bicycle.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
the first time I see
That
this.
bicycle went down Lancaster Hill, I don't know, hundreds of times.
Oh my god.
And Billy Roseville owned it. And
So cool.
What a cool
It's
one.
a-
Does it still ride?
yeah,
So between Esperance and Cherry Valley, you've got like, you know, almost an early history of firefighting.
yes, exactly. That's what we have all kinds of fire memorabilia, helmets. We have some old Cherry Valley.
Yeah, look at those
bands,
helmets with the
Fire
eagles.
department
There's
bands.
an eagle on top of the helmet.
Yeah, very cool.
We had a lot of fires here, so.
Well, everything was wood
Everybody-
in the old days,
yeah.
right? Yeah. You
We
heat with
had-
wood, you heat with coal,
Sure.
you're gonna have fires. That's why they invented cast iron.
Yeah.
They cast iron buildings, huh?
Well, cast iron was manufactured over here again.
Oh, you had a
at the
foundry?
Yeah, the foundry.
Cool.
This is our war room. And this is all World War I, World War II. This comes from good Civil War memorabilia here.
Anything
This
from the
is-
Revolution?
Yeah.
Or from the massacre?
Well, the massacre is in that other room that we just were in. This was carried at Gettysburg.
That was at Gettysburg?
That was at Gettysburg.
Wow.
That was made by our women. This is one of our prized possessions here. This
So what do you
is-
have here, Susan?
We have an interesting collection of memorabilia that came out of the massacre.
Oh.
All Indian pins. We have also, to our knowledge, the second oldest cloth ring in the world. It's from the 1600s.
Wow.
It was actually torn off Mrs. Cannon's finger
Oh no.
minutes before she was scalped.
Oh.
Minutes. And it was given to her daughter. And then it came down from generation to generation into our collection.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's beautiful.
It's an amazing cloth ring. An amazing cloth ring. More of the axe heads and the.
Also, they're all prehistoric.
Yeah, these are
Americans.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Up on Route 20,
That's
they
a hammer
found a
stone.
pit that is Pleistocene period,
Yeah.
and they found, oh my gosh,
That's a net sinker. That's what's called a celt. That's a hammerstone.
and a grinder rock, and
Grinder
another
rock.
mortise, and a
Pestle from a mortar and a pestle.
beautiful beadwork on the
A lot of
moccasins.
arrowheads. Those are called Madison points
Mm-hmm.
and Lavana points. Those are about 1,000 years ago.
Our baseball, we manufactured baseballs here in the building across The street
What was
was
it? That was
part of
school?
the baseball factory. It's the
A
village.
baseball
hall.
factory?
Yep, for baseballs.
Oh, that's cool.
Just wonderful memorabilia of the village, of the era. We do have one of the major Cox's Stanley steamers, which is still working and running. It was just a.
You know what I noticed about small villages museums is they're usually packed with stuff. It's like, I got something, put it in.
Fascinating. Our band just celebrated 200 years.
Is that the one in the stone?
Yep,
And that's been here for 200 years.
200 years. Yes.
This is fascinating.
Oh, I love that top hat. Oh my God, is that a top hat or is that
Yes,
a box?
it is. It is a top hat.
Oh,
Isn't
putting
that
on the
lovely?
Ritz, yeah.
Or Abe Lincoln.
No. Susan has agreed to meet us at the village cemetery, the location of the famous Cherry Valley massacre of 1778. The cemetery is in the same location as the fort that was built to protect the citizens, but as we will learn, it did not turn out as planned. So I understand that Cherry Valley was massacred during American Revolution by the Native Americans and the English. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, we were founded in 1740. We got along really good with everybody, and Joseph Brant was here a lot, had a lot of friends. In comes the French and Indian War. The British had a little fort here, and then comes the American Revolution. And so a lot of our men sided with the American side. That didn't go too well with some of the other people here who were loyalists. And so we had the big division between the Mohawks and the English, and then of course the native population, the Oneidas, who sided with the Americans. So it really made for a lot of consternation, but again, everybody got along. We had a couple of people here actually from Scotland, from the Battle of Culloden, who sided with the Loyalists.
Really?
Yes, unbelievable. Jackie Foster was one of them. But then we became famous, of course, during the American Revolution and the Battle of Oriskany, when Samuel Clyde and Samuel Campbell sided with, of course, they were patriots, and General Herkimer was killed, mortally wounded at the Battle of Oriskany, and so the native population and the butlers, who were loyalists, wanted basically the Campbells and the Clydes and anybody else who was associated. So along comes, of course, John Butler and Butler's son, Walter. Yes. And he decided to attack the village in November 11th, during a sleet and rainstorm. And he took about 600 to 800 men with him, loyalists, Tories, British regulars. Joseph Brand, he tricked Joseph Brand into coming with him. Joseph did not want to.
Really?
Oh, no.
Because, you know, the way he's been painted as this sort of, really bad guy.
He was painted wrongly.
Interesting.
And so 2 of Joseph's top mortal enemies, more or less, with the Seneca tribe was Hayakatu and Little Beard. And they did not get along, but Joseph, of course, being a Mohawk, he was on the trail from his village to Fort Niagara, where he would work, quote, work, for the winter. And so along comes Walter Butler and his whole contingent of Indians, including Hayakatu and Little Beard. They say, no, you're going with us. And Joseph says, no, I'm not going with you guys. I know where you're going. You're going to kill some friends of mine. No. So Walter steps up and says, you want to get paid, right? You want to get commissioned when you get back up to see my father? You'll do as I say. Joseph says, oh boy,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. So he turned around with his men, which half were basically American patriots, or American loyalists, Tories, and so the rest is history. So
Wow.
Joseph went around more or less protecting the people that he knew, because the Senecas were not, didn't care.
Except for one, from what I read, what's called Brant's Rock, right?
Well, Brant's Rock,
What
yeah.
happened there? Didn't he kill a friend of his by mistake?
Yes, he did, by mistake, and that was about 4 months before.
Oh, before
That
the
was about
revolution.
4 months before the actual massacre.
Oh.
Yes, he didn't recognize seats, nor
And he,
warm-up.
and he was hiding behind this
He was
rock,
hiding behind the
which we're
rock.
going to go visit.
Yes, wonderful
And-
rock, yes.
Yeah, and he jumped and scalped him, and then
Yes,
realized
and
he
then
killed
he
his
realized
friend.
he killed his friend.
Oh no, that must
Yes.
have felt awful.
Yes, it was. It really did.
Yeah, I guess he never lived that down from
No.
what I read.
And he never lived it down within himself.
Yeah.
He never did.
So it's funny how, because Joseph Brant is painted as a, because of course he fought on the wrong side
Mm-hmm.
of the revolution. But even after the war, I mean, he still was alive. I mean, he
Oh, yeah.
still had a job, and right, and didn't he have
He
a
still-
normal life after the revolution? How could you, be killing basically your neighbors, and then after the war everybody gets back together and go, well, I guess nothing happened.
Well, he was not really. He did, from what I understand, come here to visit, but it was kind of like a really big deal. But he stayed in Canada, and he did Cartland Island and Brantville, Ontario. He did stay and then the Seneca, Littlebeard went back to his native area, and then of course right after this massacre, about a year or so later, of course you have the Sullivan-Clinton campaign. And then you have the second massacre here, which I think was the most terrible one in a
I
way.
didn't know there was two.
Yes, there was two.
Two of them.
And it's called the Battle of Bowman's Creek, or the Massacre of Bowman's Creek, because one loyalist got mad at a particular friend of his who was a patriot, and so it became a squabble. Bowman's Creek is right down the road here, otherwise known as AKA Sprout Brook. And they literally just tore into the small community of Sprout Brook and then came up here. And when the massacre happened here, a lot of these people were displaced. So they went to Schenectady, they went to Princetown, some of them stayed, but there was nothing left. So where would you go to seek shelter but the fort? So a lot of, like 13 to 18 families were in the fort.
Living
Because
in the fort.
Yep, because the fort wasn't burned.
Wow.
Because they had enough firepower and everything that they could sustain.
So they could defend the fort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So how many
when you-
people died in the massacre here?
Well,
Do we have a
here
number?
they have a number of between 49 and 58 for the first massacre.
Right.
The second one was more brutal because they burned everybody in the fort alive.
Oh no.
Oh, in
They
the
wouldn't-
fort. you
Oh,
mean-
in the fort, yeah. The second massacre.
Oh, the second one.
The second one. That was the
Burned
most brutal, I
everybody
think. It didn't matter.
Wow.
And they said they took prisoners from a few of the places outside the fort, but basically 14 people actually survived that one. Everybody else was gone.
I know as we were coming in, it looked like a big monument to the massacre victims. Was that put up?
Yeah,
here?
that was put up from here. And then we have also a monument to Alden, which is on the hill up there. And Colonel Alden, of course, fell the morning of the massacre, the first massacre, November 11, 1778, as he was running down the hill. And a lot of people blame Joseph Brant for actually throwing that fatal tomahawk.
killing him, yeah.
Killing him. Yeah.
We've been studying or reading about a woman who gave birth to a stone baby
Yes,
here.
stone baby.
And it's a very rare
It's a rare occurrence.
disease or
yeah,
whatever it is.
Rare occurrence,
Yeah.
but it just happens when the baby just calcifies in the womb. The stone baby resides at the Fenimore Art Museum.
I went over and got
Yes.
a picture of it.
Great. And just recently, in the last 10 years, there was a woman in India who had 8 children, but she had it on the other side of the uterus, and on the left side, when they autopsied her, she was in her 90s, she had a stone baby.
Oh no.
So she was able to give birth to 8 children. This was in
And that-
India,
Wow.
Right.
but this is the most recent that I've read on.
Wow. So this condition has come back.
Well, not that
It's rare,
it's just
right?
rare.
It's rare.
It's just rare. It's a calcification of the fetus, and
Right.
it just stays there as a little baby.
Yeah.
And she never knew it.
Right.
Very sad.
They often
Very
don't
sad.
know they're pregnant. Yeah.
No.
Isn't there a house in Cherry Valley where Sam Morse worked on the Morse code?
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
Oh, Samuel Morse is one of my.
Well, he's
One of my
very interesting because I
Oh.
only knew him as working with the telegraph. And,
His artwork is
but
unreal.
he's like
and
this
his
fantastic
father.
art. Yeah,
He was a
His
painter.
I
father.
had no idea he was a painter, and I think most people don't.
Man, his paintings are unbelievable.
Beautiful.
Oh, and
But how did he
there's-
go from being this beautiful painter to going, dot, 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 dot? I mean,
He
it's-
was a normal, very normal kid, hanging around with, I'm going to say Amos Swan and a couple of his buddies. And they all were interested, and the story is, and I don't know how true it is, he was coming back from France, and now the electromagnet was already invented at
Right.
that time.
Right.
But he happened to fall in with some French people, some Frenchmen, who were discussing the electromagnet, and he got the idea of using it. And why not use it? We could use it. We could perfect the electromagnet. Magnet.
Right.
So their first perfection wasn't actually the telegraph.
Really?
Oh no.
What was it?
Well, they used to love to, in his friend's house, which is across from his house, they had a basement, and he was a doctor and a surveyor, this friend, Campbell. And you get Amos Schwann in there, the local undertaker, and they wanted to actually resurrect bodies from the dead. So they would...
Wait a
they
minute, it
would-
sounds like a Frankenstein.
Oh, it
Really?
was. They had this chute going down into the basement, and they would load the body into the chute and shoot it down in the middle of the night,
No
before
way.
the sun rose, because
Right.
they had to be back. And here's your body of your loved one. And there are countless pictures, or not pictures, but just funny little ditties from kids who used to watch the blue sparks fly and the basement windows light up.
I
and,
love it.
So a true Frankenstein
Oh yeah,
story.
trying to seeing about the electromagnet.
Right.
And
Did they succeed with bringing somebody up?
No, but
Yeah, that's called Frankenstein.
but really what came out of this is, remember, in the 20s, 30s, the 50s, and the 60s, 1900, in that era of the electromagnetic shock
Oh, yeah.
for mental patients.
Oh, right. Yeah.
His-
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Oh yes, that's where it came from.
Really?
Yes, so you can get all the other manufacturers, but the idea actually came from
Interesting.
Samuel Morse.
And the electromagnet was invented by Joseph Henry from Albany.
Yeah.
So another
And it went,
sort
and
of
it went to
local
Europe,
connection.
and it circulated around Europe before it came actually back here in its big prominence.
Interesting.
But it's amazing.
So I understand the telegraph office where he practiced is still there.
Yes,
So
it
I
is.
think we're stopped there.
Yes.
We wanted to learn more about Samuel Morse and his telegraph, so we drove over to the original telegraph office, which still stands, but it's now the village bookstore.
Excuse me, is this the old telegraph office that Samuel Morse used to work in?
Yes, it is.
So we were told that this is the place where Sam Morse perfected the Morse code. Is that true?
Yeah, that's our understanding. The building was constructed in 1840. It was Amos Swan's cabinet shop. Swan, among other things, was the village undertaker. He also made melodeons, which is a little portable 3-octave keyboard instrument. And he had the telegraph office here. And so Samuel Morse, who was nephew of the Morse family, who lived about a block down the street, would come here and test Morse code, what we would now call beta testing. And so that's what he was doing in this building. I don't know what the exact time period is, but that's what we understand. Then I've also been told that later on in time, the building at 83 Alden Street was actually a telegraph school. So the telegraph operation was very big in Cherry Valley and to this immediate location.
So after the telegraph office, I mean, the building looks pretty old. It's probably had a lot of different reincarnations, right?
75 years ago, it was a dress shop. At some point in time before or after that, we're not sure, it was a tea room. In the 1960s, the beat poet Charley Plymell purchased the building, did some renovations, and in 1972 he sold it to Paul Bley, the Grammy-winning jazz pianist, and his wife Carol. This was their summer home where they would come up from the village, and they owned it until 1992. And then at that point in time, they sold it to Francis McLeod, who lived in it for about 3 years and then moved his bookstore from Newburgh, New York to here, and it's been a bookstore ever since. And then we purchased the building June of last year.
When Samuel Morse was in Cherry Valley working on the telegraph, he stayed at his cousin's house. We were told that there was a mysterious historic marker on the property, but it was hard to find. So with permission from the owner, we decided to go look for it.
We had a clue it was somewhere on the front porch. We looked everywhere on the porch except under a woodpile.
Oh, look, it's here!
You got it?
It's right here! Look!
is there?
Right there! Take the other wood!
Good, excellent. Wow. Almost looks like a headstone.
Wow.
From this rock, Lieutenant Wormwood was shot by Brant's men. The road ran 10 rods west.
So it looks like it was an earlier memorial to one of the soldiers killed by the Mohawk Joseph Brant, who earlier, Susan Miller told us, was an accident and one of Brant's closest friends.
It's hard to imagine that in such a beautiful valley there could be so much death and destruction. But the early founding of America had many conflicts, and the battle for American independence in the 18th century was no exception, as former friends found themselves on opposite sides, and many paid the price for freedom.
So we uncovered another history mystery in Cherry Valley.
So let's try to go and uncover some more as we explore more
Mystery on the road.
years ago, he never lived this down. He regretted this to the day he died.
Surprise! Why are you not surprised?
I was
Don,
surprised.
Come on. It's
I
stupid.
am surprised.
Are you cutting?
No.
No.
Cut.
Don, you have to be surprised.
I
It's
was
stupid.
surprised.